Hello, thank you very much for tuning in to this week's reads. My YouTube channel is James13Wicca, in case you're seeing this video somewhere else on YouTube. For the main part of the read, I'm using Astromatrix Tarot by... I bring my blank. I don't know. Is this the one that's from... The website in the back is Astromatrix. Some of these... they come forward in different ways. I don't know if this one had a creator or if it was listed that way, but there's astromatrix.com, .org. Check that out if you're interested in this deck. I want to say this is one of those that doesn't list the creator, but I could be crazy. Supportive Oracle Cards, Your Clairvoyant Oracle Cards by Belinda Grace, illustrations by Elaine Marzin. On the back is rockpoolpublishing.com.au is an apple, use an umbrella. And of course the dice. You get the dice from the Dice Shop by Math Art Fun. I don't know if it's showing up there. Hopefully it's showing up. I'm going to try to do this. I have to get my ducks in a row to do these things differently, but for right now I'm going to keep doing them the way I was. But Alex, I explained that in other videos. 22-sided dice for the major arcana. 22 I substitute for the 0. 14-sided dice for the minor arcana. I use a 4-sided dice to choose the element. Boom. Alright, that being said, if you'd like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. This is James4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. That being said, let's go on to your reading. Hello, Leo. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Leo? Ooh, the Sun card right off the bat. It reminds me of Leo. Your card is the Strength card, but the Sun card does remind me of you a lot. So, let's see where this is going. Who is that? Okay, come on. It just goes on and on and on and on. This, like every card? Okay, every card. We got every card out there. Not every card in the deck, but we got a lot of them out there, let me tell you. We got a lot of them. My first thought is whatever this situation is for you, if somebody told you you're going to have it easy for the next couple days, you'd be like, yeah, right. You'd be like, sure, that happens in this situation. Whatever the situation is, it's always a struggle. You make it work out, and like, sometimes they're easier than others, true, but it's kind of like I always have to be on my guard. I always have to think about what's going on. It kind of reminds me of like people in law enforcement. Kind of like no matter what's going on, I got to pay attention. I got to stay alert. I got to stay awake. Even if it's a good moment, I still need to stay alert. You know, I still need to pay attention. That's how this feels. It really does feel that way. Because whenever you got involved with it, what is that? Is the Two of Swords? You got involved with it because you wanted to, and it feels like whatever this situation is, you were in it for the long haul and you still are there. It could be, for example, like I'm going to use law enforcement, I guess, for this analogy, for this whole one. I might not be in the same category the whole time. Like maybe you started in a version of the armed forces, you went into some other category after that. It's always been in the same vein. Maybe not the same exact job or situation, but it's been in the same category. Kind of like started in armed forces, maybe went into some type of like, you know, law enforcement after that, and then you went into like a private, you know, detail after that. Like, I don't know a lot about that subject, but you know what I mean. It just kind of, it stayed in there, and there's a lot you can do with it, and there's a lot you can't. There's certain things that you're not supposed to have anything to do with, and you're like, and I don't want to, and that's quite okay. It seems to work quite well. You seem to like it, even though it's never really easy, but maybe it's something you feel like you thrive in. Does that make sense? This is also something where honesty is what's necessary. Whatever the situation is, if people aren't being honest, then I will figure out a way to get the truth out of the situation one way or another. Does it work out the way it's supposed to? No. No, I wouldn't say the situation works out the way it's supposed to, but do you have an effect on it that makes it better than it would have been? Yeah. That Four of Cups with the Emperor is kind of like, there's just always a bit of debauchery here that is unnecessary. It's just, I don't like it, but I call it out where I can, and I try to put it in line where I can. Debauchery. The current energy of this situation is very odd to me. So I'm just going to highlight something, because this is very interesting. Eight of Swords, the Magician. So it's kind of like, well, this is how it's working out. You're accepting the situation for what it is. That Sun card is there, and it's kind of like, well, it had to work out the way it had to work out. Okay. I feel like this is a rough one, but like the situation is, I feel like there's devastation and failure going on here. But I also feel like, well, it's not because of me. And maybe because of the way it's failing, certain things are going to move forward the way they're supposed to. You may not believe that this had to happen the way it did, but it's kind of like, I didn't have any choice in the matter. I didn't have any control over this. But now that it's happened, now we have to change things, and things do need to change. That Sun card is very interesting, because I'm like, well, now we have to make changes. I wanted this to come forward a different way, but this is how it happened. It happened through failure, and it's not my fault. And it's not Leo's fault. It's not your fault that it happened that way. But it's like, all right, better now than later. We got to change these things. I wish we could have done this a better way, but this is how y'all chose it, so let's just fix it. That Sun card is really interesting, because it's kind of like, now I'm in the position to make changes. Now we got to do it. It's kind of like making the best of a bad situation. And it's moving forward either way, and it's kind of like, all right, here we go, we got to do it. I don't think you're like celebrating anybody's bad luck or whatever you want to call it, bad moment, destruction. You're not celebrating that, but you're like, hey, let's move. And it's like better now than never. Like, you know what I mean? The longer this stays the way it was, the longer it doesn't correct. And it's moving forward, and it is. There's a lot of conflict around this situation, but there always has been. The debauchery there. When this happens, this failure, I feel like that allows you to get around this debauchery. That's kind of the Sun card coming in. That's kind of the good part. Kind of like, because of the debauchery, because of this failure from the debauchery, able to circumvent it, able to get around it and move forward the way we need to. I hope it doesn't sound insensitive. I'm trying to be like, whatever this, I mean, it's a general reading, but I feel like whatever the situation is, it's not a little thing. And I wouldn't say you're like happy anything happened, but it's kind of like, all right, at least we're getting around this. It's kind of that way. Kind of the dark blessing type thing. Sort of like that. Remember, this is a general read, you know what I mean? People don't want to change, but change is happening. People don't want to change, but change is happening. It's slow, and people are trying to resist it, but I feel like we have no choice. We have to. So it reminds me of like people sliding slowly down a muddy hill. The change is happening. They're trying to fight it with everything they have, but things are changing whether they like it or not. And they're sliding down that muddy hill, and they're trying to get back up to the top, but they're not going to get back up there. They're going to have to go down to this other road and make do that way. They wanted to take that high road, but it's not happening. And they're fighting that, but they're sliding down. I feel like they're saying, let them slide down at their own pace. Don't worry about them. Let them do what they have to do. They're going to get in line with the situation. You don't need to spend your energy trying to make them, because they feel like that just compounds the problem. More stuff keeps happening. More stuff just keeps happening with this. Whatever it is, there's more stuff just keeps happening. The Hanged Man is falling out of favor, which, I mean, things are changing and it's just not pretty. Seven of Wands is also falling out of favor in a different way. People are trying to keep certain things from happening. They're trying to keep things back. The Seven of Wands is trying to keep things out, in my opinion. It's like, yeah, Seven of Wands is trying to keep things out is how I read it. So I feel like they're failing at that. Again, sliding down that muddy hill. Whether they like it or not, things are changing. It just keeps getting more and more complicated. It's kind of like we're sliding down that muddy hill, or like they are. I feel like you're ready for the change. And the more that they try to fight it, it doesn't work. But all of a sudden, like, even though they're in this fight, then it starts to downpour, and it makes it even slipperier. And it's kind of like the more they fight it, the worse it gets for them. Let them do what they have to do. Don't try to solve it for them. Don't try to predict where it's going. I feel like other people are trying to get you to, like, play the long game. Which kind of you do, but kind of you don't. Don't make decisions. Don't try to, like, well, when they get down here, I guess we'll do this. Or when they get down here, I guess we'll do that. What they're saying is try to not plan for what's next. Because it doesn't seem like that's going to work to your benefit. The advice to this is to, like, pay attention to how these people are fighting. And, like, make your decision about who really should be a part of this situation and who shouldn't when they get to the bottom. But watch the whole thing play out. I think that's what they're saying with this Hermit card and the personal transformation. The Hermit card is like introspection. What's going on around me? What do I want to do with it? What does this really mean? That type of thing. And I feel like it's an observer card when you get the personal transformation with it. Let this go slowly and just kind of keep your eye on that. Do what you need to do. Keep yourself occupied. Keep your energy going with what you can productively do over here. But keep an eye on it. Keep looking at it. Watch how people are actually acting. Don't try to help them, ironically, because it doesn't help the situation. And don't try to give them direction. Because I almost feel like if I give somebody direction, I'm telling them to. I'm almost like teaching them to tell me what I want to hear. Don't do that. Just watch and observe as much as you can. Just try to observe and see what are people really doing without direction. What are they just naturally gravitating towards? What type of person are they really? You're going to notice that some people have really big hearts and look out for others. You're going to notice that other people only do things for others when it seems to benefit them more. Keep an eye out for that. Because there's going to come a time after this where you kind of have to cut the slack. You got to cut the fat, if you will. Like, it reminds me of a steak. You got to cut the fat off. That's too much. So these two cards here together. If you're paying attention and just watching and not trying to help people make better decisions, you're just watching. Don't try to help people make better decisions. Just keep watching how they act. You're going to know who's better to be there and who's better to not. Who's going to serve the situation down the road and who's going to become more of a drain on it down the road. It'll help you make a better decision. Again, keep busy with what you got to do. You got other things. You keep that up, but just keep touching back. Let people tell you what's going on. Let people tell you how it's happening. Look and see the proof about, I see where that happened, or I see where that happened. But don't step forward and don't fix anything. Don't direct anything. Don't help anybody, ironically. You want to see how they help themselves, because then you're going to be able to make the better decision. Who should stay and who should go? Who's going to help the situation later and who's not? There's this whole evolution that happens later. When the situation re-solidifies, there's a whole new revolution, a whole new cycle that comes in. This whole situation, whatever this is, it goes up and down. It goes up and down. It goes through its own cycle. It'll restabilize again, and people will have their happy moment. But then all of a sudden, per normal, the situation will fall apart again. It seems like this situation just always has this cycle. I don't think if this reading is hitting, I don't think this is surprising that it's going to do that again. But the thing is, when it goes through this again, it's all about, did I keep the people around that deserve to be here so that I can help the ones that are worth helping? or did I like keep the wrong ones around that just made the situation worse and made it 10 times more difficult for everybody? That's the question. Did I keep the ones that I needed to keep that were good for the situation, or did I keep the people who just brought me more stress and created the situation less than what I wanted to begin with? What's this last card? Yeah, it's finding out what works best for you. You will always have a little bit of stress in this situation. Did I do the right thing? Did I not? Hard to tell. Blah, blah, blah. Seems like I did the best I could with it. That's always going to be there, but they're just trying to help you angle this to that so you can get to that point next time around where you're like, you know what, at least I knew, who was worth keeping around and who was better to let go. There's also this last piece here, which I will try to figure out what's going on. Is somebody else trying to help you with this? Somebody else is going to be trying to help you. They might not be that much of a help. You have to see it with your own eyes. You have to see it with your own eyes. You have to decide for yourself. Somebody else might be trying to help you, and they're very passionate about that, and they're like, no, Leo, this is how this would be better. No, Leo, we should do this. No, Leo, trust me, I saw this. This is how this should go. And they may be very authentic with that. They may be, but they don't view it the way you view it. So just keep that in mind. Like, I know you want to take other people's opinions into account, but this might be one of those situations where you see it for yourself, decide for yourself. If people have their opinion, that's fine, but like I don't feel like you need other people's opinions in this situation. Even though this is here, I'm getting like these two things together, it's not working. I feel like that's what that's saying. All right. I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.